Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas, and the Final Fantasy IX Remake is happening whether you believe it or not. And at the point of recording this video, no, it hasn't been officially announced. However, it has been leaked several times. So all we can assume for that is, yes, it's real. The biggest one being on the Nvidia leak a few years back. Everything else on that list appeared to be true. There's also been recent rumours of the development of Final Fantasy IX Remake being complete and ready to go. But where is it? In this video, I want to talk about Final Fantasy as a franchise, where it's come from, where it is now, and the future. Because the future for Final Fantasy is very important, and I don't think it's going to be quite what you expect it to be. So the origins of Final Fantasy started many, many years ago, and I'm not going to spend too much time on where it came from, because we all know where Final Fantasy came from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, they were the original ones where we had the basically top-down, pixely kind of view, and they've been redone as the pixel remasters, and the pixel remasters are absolutely fantastic. We moved into the modern era in Final Fantasy VII, and although this is the only Final Fantasy VII I own physically now, the other one being digitally, the original Final Fantasy VII was a revelation. I got into Final Fantasy when this one came out, not this one specifically, but the original Final Fantasy VIII. Again, this is the only physical version I have of it now. Mine is digital. I do regret some of my PlayStation 1s. But the next one I have physical is Final Fantasy X on the PS2. And I also have somewhere here the re-release that was on PS3. And obviously I've got X-2 on the PS2 as well. Notably, where's Final Fantasy IX? Nowhere. I have it digitally, but I don't have it physically on any console. Yes, I did have it on PS1 back in the day, but I sold that stupidly years ago. But where is it? We've got these here. Obviously, Final Fantasy XI was online only. I don't have that one, but I have Final Fantasy XII, and I also have, if I can find it, the Zodiac Age. As you can tell, I love Final Fantasy, and I've loved it for decades. So if you consider that Final Fantasy VIII was my first one when that came out in, I think it was 1999, I've loved it for 25 years. It's been my franchise of choice for RPGs for 25 years. So yeah, Final Fantasy VIII, absolutely love it. But as we go through all of this, we then move on to 12, and we've got the 13 trilogy, 13, 13-2, and then Lightning Returns, which oddly enough is still stuck on old consoles. But at this point, we think, well, where is 9? Why haven't Square put out 9? Why are they too preoccupied with putting out things like this? Why are they too preoccupied with putting things out like this? And then we've got things like that. Revenant Wings. Ugh, that's a lot to be desired. You know, why are they doing this? Where is Final Fantasy IX? There is a clear demand for Final Fantasy IX. Why? Why is it not here? Well, there is a lot to be desired in how they can approach Final Fantasy IX, because if we look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, in and of itself, this was a masterpiece. It was beloved. The same with Rebirth. Rebirth was a revolution. People absolutely love it. But they love 9. So where is 9? Well, it all comes back to how they want to basically portray Final Fantasy. We used to get Final Fantasy year after year back in the day, whether it was a re-release or a remake in this case, or whether it was a spin-off like Stranger of Paradise. But Final Fantasies have notably slowed down a little at this point. We've had Rebirth come out this year, and it's going to be several years before we even see the third part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which will be the last one. But what happens in that time? Are we going to see Final Fantasy 17? Who knows? I mean, Final Fantasy 16 was absolutely brilliant. I don't have it physically just yet to show you. Best one I've got. 15. I like 15. I'm not gonna lie. So Final Fantasy IX is going to be one of them games where when it's out, the marketing for it needs to be spot on, because people are so used to seeing Final Fantasy 16. Where's Final Fantasy 17? People are thinking, well, to go back and do Final Fantasy 9, people might be a bit confused. So the marketing needs to be spot on. And I think that's what Square are struggling with at the moment. How can they market Final Fantasy IX as this epic, massive, brilliant Final Fantasy game that you need? Also, with the struggles of Final Fantasy, or Square Enix, over the past couple of years, I would genuinely think they are waiting for the Nintendo Switch 2. Yes, that's right. I think the success of Nintendo Switch, we all know it's a success, whether you want to admit it or not, it's been successful. Final Fantasy IX hinges on the success of the Nintendo Switch 2 to a degree, not all of it. So their plans are going to be Xbox, believe it or not, Nintendo Switch 2, yes, that's going to happen, and PlayStation 5. They'll also try and put it on PS4, Xbox One. I doubt they'll try and put it on the Switch. I don't think that's going to go down so well. It's all about timing, why we haven't heard of Final Fantasy IX Remake just yet. I'm pretty sure it's done, and it's coming out, and it will be coming out in 2025. We just need to sit and wait for Nintendo to announce the Nintendo Switch 2. Likely, you'll hear of it at the event of the Nintendo Switch 2. Look what's coming out to the Nintendo Switch 2, Final Fantasy IX. That is an incredible marketing tactic for Square if they can pull it off. But, it's whether Sony has their claws in Square at the moment and decides, yeah, we want Final Fantasy IX exclusively. No one actually knows at this point, apart from some of the insiders and some leakers that haven't even said anything, whether Final Fantasy IX will be an exclusive game. I mean, if you look at Final Fantasy 15, that wasn't exclusive. Not at all. That did okay. But then you have to look at things like Final Fantasy 7. This was exclusive. And Rebirth, being exclusive again, didn't meet expectations. Same with Final Fantasy 16. It didn't meet the expectations. So the waiting game is all hinging on Nintendo at the moment. I can guarantee that we will see Final Fantasy IX next year. Guaranteed. But then where does that go from there? Where do we go with Final Fantasy after 9 has hit store shelves? Nobody truly knows. Do we see Final Fantasy 17 before Remake Part 3? Probably not. I would imagine that Square want to get Final Fantasy IX out the door, then they want to focus on that third installment of the remake. And it's crucial that they do that because they can basically sell that to you twice. How do they do that? Well, they're going to sell the third part, and then they're going to, a year later, sell a trilogy on PlayStation 6. Now, you may think I'm absolutely crazy because the PlayStation 5 Pro isn't even out at this point. It's only 2024. We're years away from PS6. But what you've got to remember is the time frame of when Remake came out, when Rebirth came out. If you extrapolate that forward, say the third part is going to come out in 2027, then yeah, okay, that's at the tail end of the PlayStation 5 life cycle. That means that in 2028, if we get the PlayStation 6, maybe even 2029, there you go. Sony sells you the full package. So Square are being very clever about this. Let's be honest. You know, Sony and Square are somewhat like that, and they have been for years. They're all buddy-buddy. Yes, I know there's things going on elsewhere. Things have failed, things have worked. You know, it's a crazy world we live in. But the marketing for Square is going to be very, very clever when it comes to Final Fantasy IX. That's why they're waiting on Nintendo. So, what do you think about all of this? It's a crazy situation. The fact that we all know Final Fantasy IX exists as a remake, and we haven't even seen it yet. It's apparently done. Do you think it is just going to explode onto the scenes, much in the same way as the Final Fantasy VII remake did? Or is it going to be a slow burner? And is Square really going to be focused on that third installment? Or are we going to get Final Fantasy 17 next? Time will tell. Time will tell. We obviously will see the third installment. We obviously will see Final Fantasy 17 at some point. Probably not this generation for Final Fantasy 17. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. But I would definitely love to see the third installment of the remake very, very soon. But obviously, Final Fantasy IX would come first. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.